A queer, tree-hugging atheist with immigrant parents.
I did not go to J school. I did not produce videos in college. My experience making videos is making really bad YouTube vlogs about coming out when I was in high school and college, like really bad, that you can no longer find on the internet. But the point is that my trajectory and the reason that I'm on this stage is a testament to how the low barrier to entry empowers a lot of voices and means that there are very few gatekeepers to people having a voice in the public square. That is good because I think I'm a good person and I'm doing good things.
That is good because I think I'm a good person and I'm doing good things.
The reality is that a lot of people have used that to really destructive ends.
Search YouTube for videos about immigration, and eventually you'll find this.
Mass immigration is not the rainbows and unicorns that our politicians portrayed as. It is, in fact, a tragedy.
Search for videos about Islam, and you'll find stuff like this.
By its very nature, Islam is an intolerant, radical, extremist belief system.
Search for feminism, and yeah.
Newsflash, everybody hates feminism.
These videos are all products of what New York Times Magazine calls the YouTube right, a growing collection of right-wing vloggers, media operations, conspiracy theorists, and activists who built sizable followings on YouTube. They warn about mass immigration, decry political correctness, and mock out-of-control social justice warriors. That might sound like an exciting free speech paradise for Southern, but it's created kind of a nightmare for YouTube, because it turns out YouTube is a really good breeding ground for things like
Out-of-control social justice warriors.
breeding ground for things like extremism,
No offense, but f the Pope.
hate speech,
They have less crime than other towns. Yeah, because there's less blacks.
and conspiracy theories.
But you'll see an amazing array of people. People like James Damore, Andrew Clavin, Michael Knowles, Dennis Prager, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, then Brittany Pettibone, Millennial Woes, Mark Collett, Tara McCarthy, Wife with a Purpose, Styx Hexenhammer, Richard Spencer, Andy Worski, Crowton T, Mike Enoch, even V gets a mention. Mundane Matt, Milo Bunty, Blair White, Derek Blackman, Tim Pool. All of these white supremacists. My goodness. The alternative influence network on YouTube is remarkably diverse. They have women, trans people, and people of colour. It's almost like this isn't actually based around race and gender, it's based around a series of ideas.
That is not valuable speech. That's not worthy of protection.
People with ideas that disagree with yours, and yet they are still people nonetheless.
That's the thing. As a social justice warrior, I think this stuff plainly qualifies as hate speech. But a lot of people don't, and YouTube has to make that call for a staggering amount of content. Cast the net too wide, and tons of creators get punished for even mentioning politics. Cast it too narrowly, and risk another mass advertiser boycott.
Cast it too narrowly and risk another mass advertiser boycott.
These two groups, advertisers and creators, need wildly different things from YouTube. Creators need it to be an open space where they can speak their minds and test ideas without fear of a corporate overlord. But advertisers need to see that YouTube can rein in the platform's worst excesses, that it can avoid being exploited by demagogues and
Out-of-control social justice warriors.
Jesus. The rise of the YouTube right is scary, but it's helping force the world's biggest video platform to figure out what it wants to be.
This is what Mr. Gay Vox wants to do. Mr. Lispy Queer from Vox. What were you holding, Gay Latino from Vox? Mexican gay guy used to work. Mexican gay Latino there at...
This is not just one individual harassing me. This is a systemic YouTube-wide problem, and it's not by accident. It is the product of YouTube's choices and the way that it chooses to not enforce its anti-harassment policy. This isn't happening on every platform.
Between Samantha Bee, John Oliver, Colbert, Myers, SNL, comedians are playing a big part in how we talk about politics.
Trump does have a tendency to lie his ass off. That's why Chris Christie is always there to catch it.
But if you look past the jokes and sight gags, these comedians are doing a really good job of covering Trump. Sometimes better than serious news networks.
Nice misdirection, Chris Angel, but you can't just shake your keys and distract us. We're not cable news, we're Americans.
And that's because political satire has something that TV news lacks: a really low tolerance for bullshit.
A really low tolerance for bullshit.
I had to lock down my Instagram. I have like 600 friend requests on Instagram from people whose only desire is to comment that on all of my pictures. Twitter is completely overrun by his followers now. It's unbearable.
I've been called an anchor baby, a lesbian queer, a Mexican, etc. These videos get millions of views on YouTube.
A queer, tree-hugging atheist with immigrant parents.
And Twitter. That being said, I'm not mad at Crowder. There will always be monsters in the world.
There will always be monsters in the world.
I'm effing pissed at YouTube, which claims to support its LGBT creators and has explicit policies against harassment and bullying. This has been going on for years, and I've tried to flag this stuff on several occasions, but YouTube is never going to actually enforce its policies because Crowder has 3 million YouTube subscribers, and enforcing their rules would get them accused on anti-conservative bias, which is absolutely true, and that is the card that they play all the time. Now we're gonna skip to graphic 34 here.
This is an example of a giant multinational media conglomeration in NBC attempting to squash a competitor, attempting to squash a much smaller, truly independent, completely independently funded creator. This is David versus Goliath.
Oh
Okay,
God.
Right, like come, oh my God.
He's so pathetic. Okay, I can't stand Steven Crowder for a number of reasons. Like he's attacked us, he's attacked me specifically, and I don't care, right? Like he's a one-trick pony. He's just like Dave Rubin, right? Everything in his career relies on him playing the victim over being censored. So he'll go out of his way to provoke people.
Yeah, I'm fucking better than you. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you.
Okay, much better than you, right?
Yeah, I'm fucking better than you. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you. Yeah, I'm fucking better than
you. You are garbage.
YouTube is looking at clear examples of abuse and saying, it's not bad enough. And even though we might have the ability to post on YouTube and the ability to speak on these platforms, if there aren't policies to protect us from abuse, we don't have meaningful access to speech. It limits our ability to meaningfully participate on speech platforms, and that speech should be valued more.
Because I think I'm a good person and I'm doing good things.
That speech should be valued more than the speech of someone who's using the platform to call someone unsolicited a lesbian queer for 2 years. That is not valuable speech. That's not worthy of protection.
That is not valuable speech. That's not worthy of protection.
Once I started getting into media work, there was this realization that I could wed my desire to persuade with this like big thing out there that was a lot bigger than me. And that if I could affect that in some way, that could produce a lot of really good change.
All of these people act in a way that's fake virtuous because they want to be important. They want to be historically important. But the way they frame this is, oh, we've already done well, and in 30 years, we're gonna be heroes. I mean, that's how I live, that's how I operate. I assume I'm a hero of history. It's really nauseating to watch.